have a training process where they just get us used to being comfortable with it. I do rely on you guys to tell me if I'm going to run into something, but I'm pretty good at keeping a good pace. Now, when we go from Dolphin Stadium to Animal Care, I may walk forward only because it's kind of far, and I want to make sure that we get there at the time that we're supposed to, because they kind of make appointments with the tour guides to make sure. Yeah, right? So just to give you a little background on the park, SeaWorld opened in 1964. It initially was the brainchild of four fraternity brothers that had the idea to open up an underwater restaurant on Mission Bay. Now, the technology back then didn't exist to build a freestanding structure underwater, unfortunately. So instead, what they did was, with the 4 acres of land that they leased, they decided to open up a series of aquariums, which did very, very well. We had 400,000 visitors in our first year. So we realized that we tapped in on a want and a need that the public wanted to see, which was a place that showcased marine animals specifically. Now, from 4 leased acres, we are now on 90 leased acres. Believe it or not, SeaWorld does not own the property that we sit on. We do lease it from the city of San Diego, so whenever we build anything, it's a big production, but if we plan this far enough in advance, we are able to move forward with building structures and rides and things, because there is a lot of property around us that we're able to use. It's just very, very heavily regulated by the Port Authority. Now, our next thing that we're going to be opening in early 2018 is called Ocean Discovery. And if you head over from the front of the park, just go over to the left, there are actually some artist renderings of what they're going to do. It is going to be a ride. It's going to be gift shops, restaurants, a deep sea aquarium, which is going to feature animals that are found a little bit deeper in the ocean, and what I'm really excited about, a giant octopus display. Oh. Yeah, now that we have one giant octopus that isn't very big in a very small aquarium in the Aquarium de la Mer, but we are going to have more than one in this area, and it's going to be amazing, so I can't wait for that. SeaWorld is constantly trying to redevelop our brand and introduce new things. You know, we have people that live in San Diego that have 12-month passes, so they come really often, and it's really important to like refresh what we're able to do. Okay, so we're gonna walk over to that blue gate, and I'll do a quick count, and then I'll let you guys in. And by then, our trainer should be ready to meet with us. Okay, you don't have to. Hold my hand. All right. Okay, so the only rule back here is we're going to be right next to pools where there's basically no wall. So you're just going to want to give yourself like 2.5 feet. That should be plenty. Or if there's a trainer standing in front of us, just give her a little bit of space, him or her, and that'll be enough. Again, there's going to be lots to take pictures of back here. And so I'm going to walk you back.
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry, it's a little construction.
Wrong side. Wow.
Sorry. Yeah, we're gonna excuse that. Come on in.
Right over here. Pilot whales.
Is that
Shadow and Argo.
I think we need to let keep going. We're gonna head over to that picnic table.
picnic table. We're having a picnic.
Right here, JoJo. Alright, you guys can hang out right here. Sorry, I don't want to get too close to the pool, so you guys can hang out right over here. Sorry. No, it's okay. I'm like, please stop.
We were gonna go swimming.
I know. It's where it's like, I got people who got swimming pools and construction walls. Gotta wrangle you guys all together. Gotta wait for. Hi guys, you wanna come in with me? Wonderful. All right. Well, hello. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Good. Enjoying the tour so far? Is this kind of stop number one?
Stop number one.
Stop number one. Well, welcome. This is kind of behind the scenes Dolphin Stadium. My name's Tori. I've been a trainer at Dolphin Stadium for about 2.5 years now. I'll give you a little bit of background on how I got started and other places that I've worked. But if you do have any questions along the way, please stop me. Just raise your hand, ask whatever questions that you have. So just general consensus, where is everybody from?
Seattle.
Seattle?
Belgium. Michigan.
We're in Michigan.
Detroit.
No kidding, my dad was born and raised in Detroit.
Oh, okay.
Keep going. Nice. Well, I am from Northern California, a little town called Redding. Actually, it's a little on the larger side, but it's in the mountains and the lakes. I did not grow up near an ocean, but my dad was a horse doctor, so I grew up on a farm with horses. And that kind of jump-started my love for animals. I've always wanted to build relationships, take care, learn all I could about animals, everything from the medicine side to the behavior side. It completely fascinated me. And even though I didn't live near an ocean, I've always been completely consumed with everything marine biology. I've always loved the ocean, just wanted to find out everything from how the tides work, all the ocean chemistry and physics, to all the creatures that lived in it, whether that be a dolphin or coral, whatever it is, I wanted to know about it. So when I went to college, I went to UC Santa Cruz and I got my degree in marine biology, and that was something I said I wanted to do when I was 5 years old. My dad sat my sisters and I down and we had that talk, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, Dad, I'm going to be a marine biologist and work with dolphins. He's like, honey, you're 5, do you know what biology even is? And I never lost sight of that. So I got my degree in marine biology, and then after that I was accepted to an internship in Hawaii on the Big Island with a company called Dolphin, and they do interactions. So I learned how to interact with dolphins in that manner. I got to bring people into the water and help them meet a dolphin for the first time, and that gave me a sense of joy like no other. It's something that you never really forget, because that's someone's first time getting up close and personal with an animal. And even though I spend all day every day with these guys, every single day is completely different. They're incredible animals. They teach you so much day in and day out, and helping people get that interaction is such an incredible feeling. So I worked there for about 6 months, and then I got another internship out here in San Diego. Is anyone familiar with the Navy Marine Mammal Program or heard of it at all? Yeah? So there's a lot of different crews, a lot of different opportunities, but I spent about a year working on research with them. So spent some time there, but while I was doing my internship, I figured, hey, I have to have a job supporting myself as well. So I started working here at SeaWorld. I started in the education department. I was kind of like a traveling science teacher. I'd go around to all the different areas and teach people about the different animals that we had all over the park. So I would wake up, go to the Navy at 6 a.m. and close here at SeaWorld until whatever time the park closed, sometimes 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and did that every day for about 8 months straight until some doors opened up. It's a really difficult field. You never really know when an opportunity is going to come and when you can get your foot in the door. So when you do, you take it. Even if it means long hours and multiple jobs, it's what you do. So after my job in education, an opportunity came up over at Dolphin Point. Have you guys been to that area of the park yet today? Yeah, so that is our dolphin interaction area, and they had an opening for a position called a zoological attendant. What that is, you're kind of the behind-the-scenes person. You are responsible for all the cleaning of the area, helping making sure food gets out. I would come over here and help guests get ready to get in the water to meet dolphins. It was really just a foot in the door for me to get to know the different management teams, to get to know the trainers, to get to know how these areas work, because even though there are so many facilities that work with marine mammals, they all run a little different. They have a lot of the same concepts, but the way they do things is a little different. So it was a really good opportunity to get involved. And after that, there was a seasonal swim test that I applied for. was offered and invited to take a seasonal swim test right here at Dolphin Stadium. So about 6:30 in the morning, about 20 of us or so gather in the parking lot, and we all show up in this pool, and we have to take a very rigorous swim test. It is absolutely freezing, and you go in, you do a 250-foot freestyle swim in under a minute and 20 seconds, followed by a 120-foot breath hold swim. So you dive in on one porch and swim all the way across the pool, and you can't break the surface. After that, you have to dive off this bridge up over here. It's about 7 feet up. You have to dive off the bridge, then you swim out to center pool, and they drop a weight in front of you. There's a trainer literally in the middle of the pool. They drop the weight and say, go get the weight. And you're like, oh, okay, 26 feet down, here we go. And you got to swim all the way down, pick up the weight, and then pull yourself out on center stage. So once you pass that swim test, then you can move forward to an entertainment audition. We memorize a script. We perform it in lots of different accents or different characters. We want to see that you can kind of walk and chew gum at the same time, or really let your personality come out. So they kind of look for those sorts of things. If you pass the entertainment audition, that's when you actually get to the interview, when you actually get an opportunity to talk about your skills, talk about the experiences that you've had, and see just how well and how good of a fit you would be for this potential job. So if you make it through all that and you're offered a seasonal position, you're still not even guaranteed a full-time job at the end of that. So my seasonal summer, I was very lucky enough to get offered a full-time spot right after my first seasonal summer, but I can't say the same for a lot of people. There are some of my coworkers, it took them 5 seasonal summers. You know, it's hard. It depends what's available, how well you did, how many people you're technically up against for the job, because there's about 150 people that swim test every summer, and maybe 10 to 15 actually get a seasonal job, and from there, maybe 4 get a full-time job if it's even available. So it's a very competitive job. So when I was hired, I was at Dolphin Point. I was there for 1.5 years before I got moved over here to Dolphin Stadium, and it's been an incredible journey. You learn so much every single day, and these animals, they teach you so much more than you ever expect an animal can teach you. And this team, these trainers I work with every single day, they're people that have transformed into family. We take care of each other, we have each other's backs, and we do everything possible each and every day for these animals. We have 12 dolphins that live here, along with 2 short fin pilot whales. Our youngest dolphin just turned 5, and our oldest is 37 years old. So our pilot whales are 16 and 36, so we have a lot of wide variety of ages, and they're just absolutely incredible animals. Do you guys have any questions so far? I know I'm talking a lot.
Yeah. In your career, which dolphin show was your favorite to do?
I've been a part of 3 different shows here. I did the Blue Horizon show. Is anyone familiar with the Blue Horizon show? Yeah, it's our old show. We had theatrics, we had some divers, kind of famous for like the pink wetsuit. So I did that show. We just implemented our Dolphin Day show about a year ago, a year and a half almost. And we also introduced a Christmas show a couple of years ago. So we've been doing a lot of different shows, kind of getting different opportunities in here, but I like them all for so many different reasons. I don't think there's an absolute favorite, because they all bring different opportunities for us to do a lot of different behavior, really switch up the variety in the way that we work with our animals, different behaviors that we can train, and make things different for the animals. Where they are right now, we are constantly moving our animals. We have 2 side pools, our main show pool, and these 2 back pools. We're constantly moving animals around, getting different social groups, having different animals interact with one another. So always keeping things variable so that they really never know what's going on. And that's the best part about the shows. We write a completely different show every single day. Every single show is different. So our brains are constantly on the go memorizing a new show. So days like today where we have 6 shows, your brains are working. Different animals, different behaviors, different tasks, different roles. So they're different for a lot of different reasons. Anything else?
Yeah. I guess I'll ask another.
Yeah.
I know back then, these pools were also used to keep the Shamu family. Was it this large one and that one that were used back then?
We didn't keep our killer whales here. Our killer whales have been at our Shamu Stadium.
Yeah, I know, but back then, before Shamu Stadium came.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I think that's just because I am old and remember all that. It was the 1987.
Hi.
Yeah. And I guess this one was used then, because this one is quite large, no?
Yeah, they actually designed the back pools here actually not that long ago, wasn't it? Like maybe 2 or 3 years ago when they redid this whole
Well, we
area?
used to have a center divide. We used to have a team of 4 boy dolphins that lived here, but we don't mix our males and our females here at the stadium, and they moved to Georgia Aquarium about 2.5 years ago. So actually right before I moved to start working at the stadium, they were moved over to Georgia and they perform in the show over there. They're doing fantastic. We get updates all the time on the boys and they're amazing. But when they lived here, we used to have a center divide line. We'd have all these little, even more separation that we've constantly worked through.
Well, why do you keep them separate?
What?
Why do you keep them separate?
A lot of the time it depends on different breedings. So if we mix the males and the females, then we'd have to put them on a version of birth control. And we do. Some of the dolphins at Dolphin Point, they're on a form of birth control, but it just allows us to kind of control the environment because animals will breed. You know, that's a very natural thing that they would want to do. But with our show boys, we wanted to keep that a little separate.
It's also to go against the inbreeding, yeah, since dolphins don't have that taboo in the family.
They can. I mean, we have a lot of families, and we actually have a lot of siblings that live here. So our youngest, Connie, she lives here with her 2 older sisters, Corona and Venus. One of our dolphins, Koa, she's 7 years old. Her full brother is over at Dolphin Point. He was born October 18th, so I saw his birth too.
That's our birthday.
That's your birthday? Yeah, so he's very, oh my gosh, he's an incredible little boy. He'll be 2 this October. It was amazing. I saw him be born right here in this very pool with Sadie. That was one of the most amazing things to witness and be part of raising him. That was a joy. That was something that I will definitely a career highlight. You never forget the little things like that, and being able to watch him grow up and understand who we are as trainers, because we all have relationships with these animals. They're all unique personalities. We spend so much time getting to know them. Believe it or not, every animal is a complete individual. Their likes, their dislikes, their markings on their bodies, how we tell them apart, who they like to interact with, who they're maybe a little intimidated by, who the leader of the pack is. You know, they have all these different personality traits. So watching those traits develop over time is a pretty incredible thing. So Bodie and Koa, our full siblings, their dad was 800 pounds. His name was Bodine, so pretty cool.
Yeah, but what I meant to say was for the inbreeding, that it is also because of that, to be careful that siblings don't breed with each other and such.
I mean, if they want to breed, then they will breed, and we can separate animals if we see fit, but I mean, we don't try and...
Yeah. But you have to try, yeah.
That is a form of hormonal. Yeah, that happens too. They get hormonal sometimes, just like we do. So that's a behavior that we call listing. They're just kind of rolling over a little bit, doing their thing.
So do you think that they would try to have, or not try, but could they potentially have a calf every season if we let them?
If we let them, if we don't have boys here, but they could if we didn't control it and if we allow that, if we wanted that to
back
happen.
when the other ones were here, that probably explained part of this operation.
It could, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
what
those
I
are
was
things-
trying to get to, since it is a hard subject to talk to about, because aunties always claim, yeah, SeaWorld has a lot of inbred animals. That's what they like to say, and it's simply not true, since SeaWorld always tries to only let the animals mate that can mate, actually. So that is...
Yeah, that's absolutely part of what the animal care team as a whole regulates, is making sure that the gene pool,
Yeah, that it stays healthy.
because it can be something that would be detrimental to some animals if we were to have inbreeding like that. But yeah, the animal care, trust me, they have meetings at the top, which then filter down to all of the trainers.
This
And
goes
so they-
way above our heads, so it's
Yeah.
hard to answer those questions because a lot of that kind of goes beyond us.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so they do. They come up with plans, and luckily they have people that are trained to be able to implement those plans and yeah, keep the animals where they're supposed to be. Do we have any other questions before we head off? We have a little bit of a walk. So,
Our pools range anywhere. All of these back pools can be about 15 or so feet. but our main show pool is 26. So they all kind of, some of them, especially the show pool, angles down a little bit. So eventually, gradually gets down to 26 feet. Some of these pools, they just drop straight down. You go down 15 to 20 feet.
So it doesn't like when they actually jump in, they don't fall in do they?
No, they have to swim down.
So if somebody, like they're really comfortable, they know you and the other trainers, if somebody they didn't know got in the pool, would they be more curious or feel threatened?
Curious. That does happen. Some people have wandered their way into the stadium before, but a lot of the time they're very curious, but they're even more skittish than you'd think. If something, goes into the pool, they'll kind of hesitate, and you might see like them disperse a little bit because they don't know what's in their environment. They have no idea. So they might be nervous at first, and then they might try and go and explore and see what it is.
So as a new trainer, were they more timid towards you, or did they want to come see who you were?
They were curious who I was. It took a long time to build my relationship with them. Some animals, they are very easy to please. They like the newness. They love the novelty of someone new interacting with them, and it's very easy to build a relationship with them. But, some of our animals are very relationship oriented. They really won't trust you. They'll try and kind of trick you, like the new trainers. We have some of our animals, we call them the trainer of trainers, because if you are new to water work or you're new to doing different behaviors, they're the ones that you learn on because they're patient, they're kind, they can generalize different hand signals. We communicate using our hands. So a lot of people, we are notorious for having, we call it like really funky hand estes, or like if we were to ask an animal to do a jump, we can take our pointer finger and drag it across our body, or a different front flip is kind of like a check mark. So people ask those behaviors, but some people ask them differently. So they might kind of look at you for a second and like, what was that, SC? What did you ask me to do? I think I know what you want. And then they'll go and do it. But we have certain animals that are very good at generalizing those concepts. So, but some of them are hard to build relationships with. They don't really trust you right off the bat. They're very picky, just kind of like humans or our own pets can be.
How do you designate these dolphins for like the shows versus like
Having them what?
over at like Dolphin Point? Do
Yeah.
they like trade every so often?
They can. So when I first moved here, 2 of our dolphins, Coco and Koa, actually just moved over, and they are very energetic animals. Just like we have different personalities, same thing with the dolphins. We want them to do the best, like have them really be able to perform the best that they can, and have them be in a place where they're going to be happy and challenged and stimulated. And Coco and Koa were 2 of those dolphins. They were 5 years old when they moved here. Very energetic animals. They got a lot of energy. They're extremely athletic, and they fit in really well with our social group. So it was a really cool interaction to socialize those dolphins that hadn't really been here before.
Don't you get hot in that suit?
I do.
Yeah.
I sure do. Especially on these warm summer days. Yeah, what's your question?
How old do you have to be to touch a dolphin?
There are a lot of different interaction programs over at Dolphin Point. As long as you are a certain height, you can do some of the interaction programs over there. We got 2, a dolphin encounter and one where you can get in the wetsuit, but you got to be 10 years old for that one.
All right, so are we going to take cameras along?
Yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Sounds good.
Sorry for the difficult questions.
It's okay. Bye.
I think so. Let's see what that. Ik kan het helemaal vergeten. Hè. Hebben ze gezien, de just?
Just kwamen ze naar boven dan het rennen.
Ja, Shadow en de andere. Bubbles is dood. Die was gestorven van ouderdom.
Schoon, hè?
Weet je Bubbles nog? Ja.
There's 2 of them.
Need to see a rest in peace, or dear Bubbles.
We're cooperating.
We just got a little goodbye, I guess, from Shadow or the other one.
Nice. Did it get you guys wet?
No, it was more of a sound. Well,
Oh,
kind
okay, a
of clicking,
vocalization?
kind of like
Yeah.
that.
What type of dolphins are that?
Those are pilot whales.
Pilot whales.
Yeah.
Okay, you were right.
They're also dolphins.
Oh,
Though.
they're also dolphins.
Yeah, I guess some of my questions were too difficult. I guess.
Yeah, I think it went over her head a little bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Are we gonna get to feed them or touch
Yep.
It's just that there are so many questions that only SeaWorld can answer for us.
Yeah, she probably just felt a little weird.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. So we're gonna come right around here. And yes, our next area is gonna be animal care, where we're gonna have our interaction. It's I think really important, especially for this particular tour, to have the perspective that the trainers bring to, in terms of information. You know, when people are watching the shows, a lot of those questions do pop up in their head. It's like, well, how did they become a trainer? What did they do? What do they study? The physicality of it is something that's amazing to me. You know, she mentioned that swim test, but in addition to the swim tests, when they're done, then they have to go on stage and read a portion of the script of the show. And they have to be up and smiling and not breathing heavy, because that swim is not meant to exert you to the point where you're exhausted. You're supposed to be able to do it, hop on stage and still be able to do...
I didn't see it coming out, otherwise I would have warned you.
No, it's okay.
Take it right to the next side.
So there's definitely a lot of planning that goes into maintaining the Dolphins. They obviously have strategically chosen all females for the show area. It has a lot to do with their disposition, and it has a lot to do with the question that I asked about breeding. You know, if they were active enough that they would drop a calf every year, there'd be a lot of Dolphins.
My hands, okay?
Are you going to be leaving the tour off there?
It's going to be right behind Cirque de la Mer Stadium.
Okay, thank you.
A dolphin is pregnant for 12 months or something like that. So.
Yeah, probably actually closer to 15 months.
I think 10 years.
Yeah, they always said 12 months.
Yes, it'll vary. Sometimes the last female actually back there was about 15 months. That's just busy over here.
Like a video game. We only lost 4 before finally.
Okay, good. I can see them there.
How long have you been working here for?
I have been here for a total now of 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we actually, in the education department, we do tours. We talk about animals at the different exhibits. During the school year, we do classroom trips where they'll assign me like a 6th grade class and say they're studying mammals and marine biology. Then we'll just do like a whole section on that for them. Sleepovers.
At the park?
They do sleepovers here at the park. If you get a private group together, you can do one, or if you are in a smaller group, they'll sometimes put 2 smaller groups together, which is really fun. You can sleep in the Shark Encounter, Wild Arctic, in front of where the belugas are. One of the aquariums sometimes is used for that, and that's really fun. So yeah, it's really varied for me. I most recently worked at Scripps Research Institute, and I gotta be honest, research is really important, but euthanizing animals.
You got another backwards.
Almost ran in.
We got you back.
Yes, in terms of animal research, which is really important, they were doing a lot of studies when it comes to cancer and Alzheimer's and HIV and lots of really important things. But euthanization is a routine part of research, and I just couldn't do it anymore. To some people, it was just like any other day, but it would really affect me at the end of the day when I had to do that. So I found that it was just not the right match after, about 3 years. So I decided to come back. And, she isn't kidding when it comes to keeping things clean at SeaWorld. I worked in the bird department for almost 2 years. And I had various aviaries. I had the flamingos. They were all part of my rotation. And it's not just counting them, feeding them, giving them medications if they need it. It's also cleaning that whole thing. That means scrubbing the entire bottom of the pool in the mornings with the scrub brush. Any leaves that were facing out that birds had pooped on, you have to take a brush and clean it because management wants everything to look perfect when we start the day. So there is a lot involved. And it's rewarding work because the animals are amazing and there aren't a whole lot of places where you get to work with animals in this capacity. So I loved it for that. But in terms of, like I said, the workload was very, very demanding. And I found that education was more of a match. This should be a little easier. It's so funny. The air in this side of the park just seems different. I think it's because we're so close to the bay that we get such a nice breeze.
You're still good for now. Don't talk to the
Yeah,
press,
the Cirque show just ended a couple weeks ago. So it usually goes right through the end of the summer season and then it stops. A lot of it has to do with the performers. The majority of them this year came from Russia, and work visas are very tricky to get nowadays, so they can only work for that 3 months and that's it.
I thought it was a cooperation with Cirque du Soleil, though, because the name resembles...
Yeah, it was initially, but because of copyright and all of that, they decided not to move forward. The name is different enough that they don't have just Cirque by itself registered trademark. It's Cirque du Soleil. That's the registered trademark, so we get around it in that way. But it's a great show if you're ever here in the summer.
Similar style?
Yes. Yeah.
But no dolphins or anything involved.
No, it's all people.
Yeah. We always assumed that it was Cirque du Soleil, that they would come here and then perform at the park,
I think they only did that the first 2 or 3 years was when they came in to do it.
That must have been pretty cool, though, meeting the people that travel in circuses.
Oh, yeah,
they are so
absolutely.
unique. I actually saw Drally on live, and it's quite an experience.
Yes, for sure. Well, and having people from other parts of the world is always cool to have them as coworkers, get to learn a little bit about where they're from and what they do. It's a lot different than here, for sure. In Russia, I'm sure.
And here's where your favorite animal is, I guess. The octopus.
Oh, yeah.
Will it be moved actually to the new one, though?
Yeah, so once that new enclosure will happen, this probably will close completely. This aquarium used to be the entire length of this building, but they changed it up a little bit.
Hey, Carlos?
Yes.
Why don't you get the one more and point that behind you?
Well, for the most part, they want us to face our audience, but yeah, since we're close, I just figured
we can still follow you, though.
Is this what you're calling Dolphin Point?
No, this is our animal care facility. So yeah, these animals are even less viewed by people. So when you come inside, just stand by that short wall, and then I'll wait for them to give me a nod, and then I will lead you up to the area we're going to do the interaction.
It's just too short wall.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think it's a lot more. 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 It's
bigger is this one right here, Joe?
Okay, so this is our animal care facility. See a couple of the dolphins that we're going to be meeting in a sec. A lot happens back here in the building that is kind of where you see that green awning. That's where the majority of the hospital is. We have a radiology suite, a surgical suite. We have a hematology lab where they can actually run blood and urine samples from all the animals, which is really important. When an animal isn't feeling well, first thing that happens is that it stops eating. Now, most animals can go a while without eating because they have a layer of blubber on their bodies, but because they get their fresh water source from the food as well, that's what's dangerous. Getting their fluids down to a point where they're dehydrated is very, very difficult for them to bounce back from. So having animals back here where we can watch them very, very closely is super important. When there are very few tours that actually come back here, so the animals are always super excited to see when there's anybody new out here to take a look. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk up this ramp, stay closest to the metal bar, and then that way you could at least look at the animals that are in here while we're waiting for them to come get us.
Okay, that's close. This is one big behind the scenes pool though.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember there was a nursery area as well in
Yeah, they
behind the
usually
scenes.
use this first pool when it comes to that. So they are going to have us do the interaction here, so we'll just hang tight for a minute. A lot of people ask about the pool and the fact that it looks green and that there's algae growing. Believe it or not, the best way to get algae to grow is in a clean a clean pool that has equal parts sunshine and shade. So it's not because they're poor housekeepers, it's just that it's the perfect environment for it to grow in. And they don't mind so much. The water here is clean enough. It's about as clean as what would come out of the tap. So in terms of particulates and bacteria and other things, it is very, very clean water. The filtration system that you see back here is something that are in behind the scenes areas throughout the park that feed all of the pools.
Kind of reminds me of Dolphin and Delta. I don't know if you ever saw the Dolphinarium in Netherlands, but they have the Dolphin and Delta and it is very green of algae, believe me.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's because it's dirty, but it's actually because it's clean.
Yeah. And I do recommend seeing the Dolphinarium in Netherlands. It's impressive.
I hope to do that. I traveled abroad, but I wasn't able to visit any. The aquariums that I wanted to see were far from where I was.
That's curiosity right there.
So they're basically going to take over for me in just a minute. When they do, just listen to what they're saying. They're going to tell you a little bit of information first, and then they're going to say, okay, everybody come to the edge of the wall, and then that's when you can go up. And everybody is going to get to do the same thing. They may start at one end or another, so just be patient when it comes to that.
How many pools are there here in
Back here we have 3 that are this size, and then 2 more that are actually bigger than this over on that side.
quite a collection of pools.
Yeah. A lot of animals.
maintenance.
It's good to be able to spread the animals around.
It's also a lot of maintenance.
Yes. That's why they have so many people back here. All of them play a very big role in keeping all of this going.
Hi guys, my name is Becky. We are also going to have Aaron joining us to help let you guys meet some dolphins. We have 4 animals in here. This is Daphne. You're going to meet her as well as another female named Buzz. The other 2, Ripley and Zana, will be hanging out with Courtney just kind of around the other side of the pool. So in a second we'll get them all situated and then we'll have you guys start. You ready? Yeah. Whoa. Now we're not going to ask them to splash you off the but they are big animals that live in water and they move fast. You guys are welcome to take a picture or video, but keep in mind that they splash because they're dolphins. So that's what's going to happen with them moving.
Sorry, bird, we're not going to be listening to you.
Let's start with a couple Daphne. You guys can come on up. You want to start with some Daphne bows after this?
Oh, Daphne, really? Try that again. There we go. You want me to grab a target?
No, they should be able to shoot down together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go! Off like a speeding bullet.
Yes, grab those. No, I don't think they're going to be together. Oh, maybe.
I'm going to grab a target. We are going to help them out. Come on. Ready, set, go! There we go. That's a big one. Better, much better. That's how we do it! Yeah!
My dream job, though.
Hey, someday.
I'm getting too old, I think, for it. I'm 27 this year.
That's it.
That will do this one. So we'll make this
Hold on, Daphne took the long swim home.
Alright, here we go.
There we go.
Oh, whatever that was.
Yeah. And there with him! There you go. Place your hands flat on the concrete in front of you and slap them up and down. Watch out for that pump. Careful of that. And you guys can get it.
Too bad I didn't get to reach.
Don't get close enough.
So yeah, just definitely reach out.
I always like touching dolphins. They're so smooth.
Friend of the blowhole. So exciting.
She sure likes to whistle.
If you guys can just do me a favor, just don't lean the cameras inside the metal stanchion. The reason for that is I just don't want it falling in the water. Because then if they get a hold of it, I may not be here tomorrow.
I won't let that happen, so.
It'll be a bad day for both of us.
Yeah, I know that.
So I'm all for taking the
Yeah, you want to
pictures.
keep your footage.
Just don't cross the barrier there.
But I'm holding on to it carefully, so.
All right, we're gonna have you feed her. She swallows her fish whole, so don't dangle it, just toss it to her, okay?
I don't like touching fish.
I understand.
They're dead, so don't
Very
worry.
unlucky with the fish parts.
You know how perfect your teeth are.
Feels like
Perfectly short teeth.
When you realize how many teeth a kind of dolphin have, it's quite something.
Up to 98.
Yeah.
98, very sharp teeth.
Do they also have milk teeth that they actually lose?
Early on, yes.
So they also have that thing. I still find it weird that dolphins, at some point as calves, have kind of whiskers, kind of hair that they lose.
Yeah. That's what one of the things that makes them
I want
Maybe it's like a remain from back then in the time of the dinosaurs when they were still landed, maybe.
Well, and it's also meant to stimulate the mammary glands of the female.
There's a
That's
female on the other side as well.
Oh! That was a surprise ball. Not as strong as I thought in this fish.
I keep on getting flagged.
I know.
Such a good girl. Daphne came from Dolphin Show. She has a very vibrant personality, and hopefully she'll be heading back out there soon.
I forgot to ask about the dolphin if she was still around. Maggie was my dolphin partner in the interaction back in 2009.
okay.
I don't know if she's still
Yeah,
around.
the trainer that we talked to has only been here for like 2.5 years,
Yeah.
so she wouldn't have known. I don't know.
Is she still around?
I don't know.
She was a very whistly dolphin from what I remember.
Very vocal.
Yeah. She was a lot of fun. I always remembered her name after that. My very first dolphin encounter was here at SeaWorld.
Wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah, in 2009. Maggie the dolphin. I would have named her Whistler, seriously.
Yeah, because of all the
Whistler.
vocalizations.
Daphne, it's okay. We'll give it back to you. Looks like she's bringing it to you. Go on the other side of the float. You can pull it from her wrist. Toss it back out there, over the bar, under the bar, way out there in the center of the pool. Everyone in this group has spin their body when she comes back here and she's looking at it. So let her hold on to it.
Ready, everybody start spinning, ready to go. Take a spot, she got it. Now go out into the center of the pool for us.
That's his toy.
I bet you really like this.
But that crane that stands there, is that one of those that they use to move an animal like in a special hanger? Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah, that's back here all the time. It's just that they have it to use at a moment's notice.
That's also a learning process for them, like getting used to hanging that.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
And once they trust the trainers, they can get very good at it. They know not to be excited or alarmed by it.
I don't remember what they call it, the thing that they carry the dolphin in. I lost the name of it.
Yeah, it's I was just call it a sling because that sort of reminds me of it. Looks like the sling you put on your arm.
I call it a hanger, but
That's what we were looking for, yeah!
if I was a dolphin trainer, I think I will spoil them to death, the dolphins.
See if we can reel her in this time.
You just never get bored with dolphins around.
I know. I love watching them. They're so
Hypnotic, mesmerizing, and all that.
you just feel calmer when you're watching them.
My mom had to drag me away from the windows with dolphins to do other things because otherwise I would just watch
do
them
that
all
the
day.
whole
Maybe even after closing, I was just sitting there watching.
How are you doing, Becky? You good? Okay. Let's see if Daphne can join her. Go, Miss Daphne! Okay, you can rinse your hands in the salt water if you want, and then we're going to take one step back from the pool.
I'm good.
I know I got the way. Put it tomorrow. And they get different percentages of different types of fish here. They get capelin, herring, mackerel, sardines, squid, and some finger mullet. And all of those have a very different like breakdown for calories, water content, protein content, and we want to make sure they just get a nice, healthy, balanced diet.
Is it then important what the fish are fed before they are fed to the dolphins?
Well, they're all live caught, so they're caught in the ocean. We use the same companies that would go collect for restaurants. So it's either restaurant quality or actually higher, because like with humans, there's allowed to be certain levels of things in the fish. With these guys, we're actually even more strict because things affect them differently than us. So they probably get the best quality compared to even what we would get in a restaurant. So we get it, and then we have a deep freezer back here. And every week we get a shipment into the deep freezer, and then every morning, like at 10 o'clock this morning, they pulled out what we have a fish house staff that pulled out what we need for tomorrow, and that includes like the back dolphin area, the sea lion feeder pool, shamu show, dolphin show, sea lion and otter show, I think wild Arctic, and then the dolphin feeder pool, and it's around 4,000 to 5,000 pounds given on the time of year.
But your feeding the orcas different, I would say, not sardines.
They get sardines, but they get higher percentages of everything. And we also have Pacific and Atlantic herring, and believe it or not, there's a big, huge nutritional difference. Pacific herring are way fattier. So the killer whales get pretty much all Pacific herring. Right now, most of the dolphins are getting Atlantic herring. They might get a pound or two of Pacific herring here and there.
You don't feed them with seals.
No, we.
Oh, that's what they.
And we would, and we would love to be able to feed some of like the killer whales live fish, but because sometimes a lot of the fish can actually already have hooks and things in them, we get the fish so we can inspect it beforehand. But otherwise, that would be really fun to see. But they do get salmon. Each of the killer whales get from 2 to 3 salmon a day, and sometimes they're this big, and sometimes they're like that big. So it just depends on what we're getting at that time of the year. And every animal gets a different amount of food. So most of our animals are getting in the high teens to low 20s right now. The baby who's in the pool over is getting a pound of Caitlin because she's still nursing. And then her mom is eating like 37 pounds of food because she has to have calories to provide for her and make milk. And then also in the furthest pool down, Gracie is the Pacific bottlenose dolphin, so she's a lot bigger and she's a lot darker in color, and that's to help compensate for colder, deeper water in the Pacific. And she's eating like 60 pounds of food. She's a big girl. She just shy of 600 pounds right now, so she's getting a lot of food.
With live fish, you also have to be careful when introducing them, because I heard from in SeaWorld Orlando that Katina, the orca there, got so spooked by that fish that she wouldn't want to go back into that same.
And these guys have not. Most of these guys have been born here and have never seen live fish. So as brave as you think the killer whales are, they still might be like, what do you mean they move? Like the fish I get don't move. So that's even something that people don't think about is. They're hunters, but these guys have never had to hunt a live fish, so it could be more scary than actually fun for them.
They do tend to hunt the birds that are near.
Killer whales do. They catch the birds a lot.
Yeah.
They get seagulls and mostly the egrets. I've never really seen them get the night herons. The night herons are pretty sharp. Every now and then they get a pelican too, and that's crazy. It's like a pterodactyl.
We saw actual footage online of a pelican landing in the middle of a show, and the orcas were pretty much on it.
Yes, I was there for a show. I used to work with the killer whales and was there where they got one at a show, and it was.
It's still on YouTube.
It was a bad day at the show.
Did they listen to you, or they just went for the bird?
Oh no, they tore it apart.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different. A pelican landing in the pool versus a seagull. We'll call them over, and usually we'll be able to, if we can get the bird and we can save it, we'll bring it to, over to the avian department. But when a pelican hits the pool, that's way too reinforcing. We try, and you're like, oh, sorry, everybody. A little National Geographic right here at SeaWorld. They were about to come out and do like a final behavior in the show, and they were about to break the surface, and it hit the water, and they were like, whoops. We were like, oh. We almost had it, and they were just too excited about it.
Yeah, I remember in the footage on YouTube that there was actually one orca who didn't know that it was happening because it was with the back towards it, but the other orcas were all over that pelican.
Yes, they were very excited about
In
that.
the area, we have mainly the J pod, I think, in the Seattle area. But there's one pod with only one whale in it. That's the iPod. Get it?
iPod.
How about one last question, the girl in the pink, and then we're going to hang out.
Good question. So, for college, you can go to school for whatever you want. If you like math or history or science or dance, you can go to school for that. But take some classes in behavior because you'll learn how to shape and modify behavior, which is what trainers do every day. But we have to be really good swimmers, so be a strong swimmer. Learn CPR and first aid. Also learn how to scuba dive because we have to be scuba certified to even apply for the job, so scuba certification. And then when you apply, so they'll have you do a swim test to test your swimming skills. And in the audition, they like to see some microphone, dance, and improv, so be comfortable on stage. And then they like to see animal experience, so whether that's working with animals. I worked with horses because I grew up in Minnesota. We don't have a ton of marine mammals in Minnesota. So I work with horses, volunteering to walk dogs, pets, anything with animals is helpful, and then work really well with others because here you cannot do things alone. Especially with the killer whales, there's a lot of constructive criticism in our job, learning how to be a good and safe trainer. And then you also get notes if you're in the show area from our production team. Like, I know you have an 8,000-pound killer whale in front of you, but can you remember your lines and step clapping and choreography? So working well with others is really important because you're always working in a group here.
All right, let's give Becky a quick hand. That was awesome.
All right, great job, you guys.
And then you guys can follow me down this way.
Bye, guys. Bye.
So before I let you loose, I actually brought, SeaWorld has this thing where if you go and ask the educators at the different exhibits, they have trading cards, and the educators forget a lot. So I brought these out. I brought killer whales, dolphins, and beluga whales. Some really great information on the back, and it has our SeaWorld.org website, which is, you can find information on anything from a snake to an orangutan to a killer whale to a dolphin. So I'll pass these around. Just take one and pass it on. I'll start in a couple different directions.
Are they all the same?
And they like to get feedback because we're a corporation, right? We'll give one to each group member.
We're waiting for you. I think
Sure thing. And yeah, and so the short version of what you should study when you're in school, psychology and math, I think, are the two things that help you out the most when you're going to. Did everybody get a beluga whale? Yes. How did I not count?
I didn't get a beluga.
All right, so that's our hour. Gosh, it goes by so quick, and I know it's a lot of info being thrown at you. So I hope you were able to pick up on at least a couple of facts that maybe you didn't know before. And the interaction is always great. It's like having your own show, right?
Yeah.
Because it's basically exactly what they would do during the show, except there's no music and no running around in those pink wetsuits. Like, gosh, those things are so weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
But yes, I want to thank you all for coming. Like I said before, just coming to the park is great support. We have so many great programs in place in terms of rescue and rehab for animals. It's not a very busy season right now for our rescues, but I think they rescued something like 839 baby sea lions that were either abandoned by their mothers or were eaten by a predator and didn't make it back to land. So there's a lot of reasons why animals do need rescuing, and we are very lucky that we, independently of any other organization, we get no government funding or anything like that, like the zoo does. So to be able to have these programs is really important, and you guys definitely help out with that. So thanks again for coming. I'm just going to let you out of this gate here.
One final question, if possible.
Sure thing.
I am very into animals, but I'm sadly not a strong swimmer. Are there other ways to get involved with dolphins without having to go into the water? Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, if you do the intern part, thanks. The internship part where you're basically just helping them maintain the area, that would be the only way to not have to be a strong swimmer. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I chose the bird department. Believe me, when I got scuba certified on my last dive, my partner left me, and you're supposed to just sit and wait for the instructor to come give you. I waited 25 minutes and I was freaked out, and I was like, I can't do this. Can't do it. So yeah, you're right, sometimes swimming isn't for everyone, for sure. Yes. To volunteer with most animals, like if you worked at Project Wildlife here in San Diego or another place that's maybe close to where you live, you have to be at least 16, I believe, sometimes 18. So you might have to wait a minute. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, wait.
thank you. Thank you very much.
You know what the Native Americans, Northwest Native Americans, call an orca?
Is it blackfish?
Yep,
Yeah.
blackfish, yeah. So that's the only three names I know: killer whale, orca,
Yeah,
blackfish.
killer whale, orca, and blackfish.
Yeah,
Yes.
but here's
Thank you.
another fun fact. Kasatka, I don't remember the language, but in that language it actually means killer whale. She was named that way, Kasatka, to that language.
Yeah, in Russian, you're right. You're right.
And there was another orca with that kind of name that also means orca in the language, but I don't remember. I know SeaWorld at least has two orcas
See you guys later.
that
Thank you
way.
so much.
I know that SeaWorld has 2 orcas that have the native species name in their
Well, when
language.
you go onto that website, they have the information on all of our orcas, how big they are, how much they weigh, their names, so all their birthdays, so all of that is
They
on
were
there.
also doing that on Lora Park, but they didn't fill in all of them yet. At least it has been a while since I saw it, but are they planning on keeping informed on them as well?
Well, you know, we don't have as much to do with their website. I wish we did because they're basically on loan from our parks. So we really should have that info.
But
But
you have a genetical information site.
yes,
I mean,
exactly.
That's something I forgot to ask today. Aunties also claim that SeaWorld owns Morgan. It's not true.
Yeah, no. It's the animals that they have over there. They acquired them independently. SeaWorld was participating in breeding loans at one point, but I don't even know that they actually got to the point where they were able to interchange any of the animals. And I actually wish I kind of knew more about that. I'm going to ask our education department to provide us more info with that, because I know that we do have international visitors that do ask about the whales at that facility, and it would be nice to know more about them for sure.
Yeah, definitely with Morgan, because Lora Park said that they will actually follow the breeding ban on the SeaWorld orcas, but what about Morgan? She can still provide to her
'cause
own
she's still,
species.
how old is she again? She's pretty young still, isn't she?
She's from 2008. She was born in 2008, so she's
Okay, so
she's
yeah,
already she's sexually
So
mature
yeah, she
already,
actually
I
should
guess.
just be reaching sexual maturity about now. This is about the right time. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I kind of hope so, because for the species, they should keep on breeding, because one of the wild pods is already endangered. Others may follow, so
Exactly.
those genes are important.
Well, and I'm hoping that that park does continue to get a steady flow of visitors, because they can't enhance their environments at all if they don't have the revenue coming in. So if people are supporting that park, which I hope they are, it will definitely only go to help all of the animals in terms of their care. And like I said, if they were thinking about building a bigger habitat for them or adding on to the existing habitat, it would really depend on people going and supporting them.
Yeah, but again, that's very expensive, I expect, to provide and
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm off to go prepare for my next tour. So
But
it was
maybe-
very good meeting you guys.
Maybe
for sure.
you could visit our organization online, though. We are called Black and White Productions, and it would be nice to have like insiders providing us with info online. So
Sure.
if
You know
look
what?
us
Let
up,
me put that onto my phone.
we basically have Corky's eye patch in our logo, since Corky's my favorite, and I am the
Yes.
co-founder.
Oh, I love Corky. She's been here for so long. And
Yeah, she's so lovely.
she's the ambassador, I think, for all the whales.
She's a trainer's trainer, and I would so be her student if I could be. Even if it was just for an hour, I would so be in her class. I mean, she's so big and yet so, I don't know, she's so huggable.
Well, yeah, she's just a very good example of a whale that has flourished in an environment like this.
Yeah, she's actually like Keiko, because Keiko was also into humans, and Corky has that too, I guess. So into humans, so into the interacting and all that.
Well,
too
and,
bad
they
that-
definitely become, for all intents and purposes, they do become domesticated. They rely on human care.
Yeah, they do.
And so that interaction is very important to them.
It's
All
too
right.
bad that Keiko couldn't move to SeaWorld, because I think he would have done greatly next to Corky, you know, supporting him, getting used to everything, and then he would have been among orcas like they wanted, and he could have had friends, a family. I mean, for Keiko, I think SeaWorld would have been a better solution, since in the end they couldn't really free him.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate story, but you know what? At least he was able to experience being out in an unrestricted environment for a little while. It was an unfortunate experiment because he didn't survive, but
Not only that, but wild orcas didn't respond well because they kind of forced those interactions, and it was boiling water as they described it.
Yeah. Okay, Black and White Productions.
Yeah.
All right, and I can find this where? Just online. You guys have a website.
We are on Facebook, we are on YouTube, we plan to expand over time over on other sites. So
Okay, YouTube I'm on all the time, so I'll visit you on YouTube, but I will look
and
for...
the footage will land on there as well. I'm planning
absolutely.
on
It was a pleasure meeting you. I really appreciate that you're...